You heard?
I did.
The gig podcast fashion, there are hiccups, speed bumps, whoop-de-doos, and curly sues to start the show here.
Say what you will, though, but it's 8:30 and we're on the air.
It's 8:30, we're on the air. This is T.W.D. stroke. The manual? I don't know. We still haven't
Something
come up.
Or another.
We'll figure it out once we figure it out.
We'll get a thorough name for it.
I don't know if you know, T.W.D. rule number 1 is we'll figure it out.
That's right.
You could thank Uncle Smoke Dog for that scenario. We are here every Monday night at 8:30, and this is the podcast that you can listen to because your coworkers are sick of hearing you talk about bikes.
You really talk too much about bikes.
However, we're not sick of it. We would be glad to hear from you, whether it's in the live chat or via phone, 1-856-THE-GIG-0, to talk bikes. Big shouts to Victor Deuce's Coco.
Oh, I mean, we'll talk anything else,
man.
but I think the fun thing that's happening on the show now is we're watching you grow from a little baby boy into a full-fledged MX guy.
Just a little, I'll tell you this. I got some props yesterday.
Okay.
So, Husky, the Bull Husk Cove, who my son is the namesake of.
Okay.
Kind of. You know, Uncle Chris hit me up and he was like, yo, what are you doing? I said, I'm about to go ride.
Right.
If you can get here in an hour, you can ride the other bike. So Dirt Bike Husk comes through, right? And he's riding the KLX.
Well, that seems incorrect.
Why?
If his name is Dirt Bike Husk, you got to put him on the Husky. That's how that works.
Well, he's Husk because he's Husky.
Okay.
Not because he's going to ride
I'm just
the
saying,
bike that I love to ride. No, I'm not going to ride the crappier bike. So that he can, so his name could match the bike.
We're watching your maturation in MX world, but not in the real, adult world.
No,
I got
I'm actually going backwards. If you ask my wife and look at my life over the past few months, I'm actually going backwards as far as life is concerned. I had really kind of hit a plateau. I was doing great. I'm making money.
Everything was
my
clicking.
Business is running smooth. I'm a top-tier dad, a great husband. All that is unraveling rapidly over the past 3 months as I'm getting knee-deep into dirt bikes.
As soon as those damn bikes showed up,
it all started falling apart.
They should have never given you one of them.
So Dirt Bike Husk says to me, he was like, dude, you went from not riding to riding this terrain? Like, that's pretty impressive.
All right.
And I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't seem like much because what we ride. This is just...
Right.
This is just South Jersey terrain, but a lot of guys don't like the sand. It's super sandy, and this weekend, we haven't seen rain in a while.
No, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, so this weekend, we were particularly sandy, and it was literally like there was large sections of trail that might as well have been Wildwood Beach.
Were you out there trying to cut off the forest fires, or what was your plan out there?
Listen, I thought... I put some serious thought into the idea of strapping the GoPro on,
right,
throwing my bike in the back of the truck, and going up to Medford to see if I could ride through some forest fire.
Get some jumps through the flames and things like that.
Yeah, that'd
be good looking.
Just see what it looks like to be in a forest fire, because I'm not scared, dude.
No.
I ain't scared, boy.
No, who cares about smoke inhalation and burning to death when you can have good footage?
Thoroughly good audio,
good.
Victor Deuces says.
It's the only kind.
So put us on and tell a friend. If you got a dirt bike buddy, tell him about the TWD Stroke podcast because he needs something to listen to at work.
Right. Because you can't just talk to each other on the phones at work. It's not permitted.
Because the reality of this is that I am searching and searching. I found two and a half solid dirt bike podcasts.
Okay.
One, I've listened to everything on it.
Okay.
I can't listen to anymore until they come out with new ones. And they don't come out with new episodes every week.
But they are still doing fresh content? They're just
they're just like once a month, yeah. One, the dude's Australian, so, it's tough to listen to them guys talk.
Always complaining about giant spiders and stuff.
And they're talking a lot of supercross and motocross.
Okay.
Which is fine sometimes. Sometimes I get into it, but it's not I don't go to it weekly.
Right.
And then the third one is okay. It's a guy, kind of just talking to other guys, telling dirt bike stories. And it's pretty decent, and I don't know if he's out weekly or something else. But there is a hole in the market for guys who are providing entertainment first, painted with a dirt bike, painted with the skid marks of a dirt bike tire.
That's for the backwood boys who want to laugh.
That's it, dude. We're just trying to have a good time. We're trying to talk bikes. We're doing that. That's what we're doing.
We're trying to talk to you. So whatever we need to talk to you about, you tell us, and we will talk to you about it.
Nah, dude. You're going to talk to me. You're going to listen to me talk, Pay. As a matter of fact, before we turned the camera on, we started to get into a conversation that I pulled a biz and said,
save it for the show.
Save it for the microphone.
Right.
So I said to you, we were discussing, let's go back, right? You hit me this week and said that Riehu,
the MR Pro,
sweet looking bike. So now Pay has found his. Everybody, listen. Listen
over here now,
guys. Listen up. So Pay has found the bike that has grabbed him by the nuts.
Yeah.
And started to sensually massage them. It's only a matter of time before he's rerouting funds from his joint bank account with his wife so that he can put them towards the Riehu 300.
I mean, the Riehu is the trophy, but don't think I wasn't on Craigslist trying to find $1,500 bikes to get myself rolling.
They're out there.
They are.
Just do me a favor. If you decide to get yourself rolling,
right,
don't make it a surprise. Just run it by me.
Why?
Because I feel like you're a smart guy.
I like to think so.
But also there may be something that I know about a particular bike that they're charging $1,500 for that I would say
100% I will confer with you for just that reason. But that doesn't mean that we might talk about 4 bikes and all of a sudden 2 weeks later one of those bikes is on my driveway. You know what I mean?
I'll be pretty happy to see that.
I would definitely. I would talk to you and one other person I know that has some bike knowledge.
Right.
Just for the basics of, okay, if I buy this and I got to break it down to scratch, am I going to be able to rebuild it clean so that it works?
Well, we don't want you to. That would be the worst idea I think that you could get into.
I wouldn't mind. I feel as though I do enough work on my car that I have the capability of understanding how to do that work. And if it means I can get a $4,000 bike for $1,500,
okay,
I'm all for that.
I don't not trust your ability to fix a bike.
Right.
But the project bike idea is for the second bike.
Gotcha.
I've heard you want your first bike to be in running order.
You got to be able to drive that bike to advance so you can get your spark plugs.
That way, should you decide to break it down,
right,
you're breaking it down from a working form,
right,
and you can know how to build it back up to a working form.
That makes sense.
Plus, who knows? You might get it, and then you can't get it fixed for the next 3 years.
Right.
And then you're just sitting there with a stiffy looking at your bike in the garage. Yeah. I keep fighting with Dirt Bike Husk about the same thing.
Okay.
He keeps bringing up these $800 bikes. He's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, I think if you can only afford an $800 bike, wait until you can afford
$1,600
three $800 bikes, and then you're in the area of, I think, in my mind, it takes you about $2,000. It starts at about $2,000 to get something that is not going to be a headache.
It's enough to run with, but not so much as to be upset when you lay it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Riehu. Now here's the thing. I would love to see you on a 300 Riehu.
Yeah, me too. As soon as $20,000 falls from the sky.
Yeah. It's a sweet bike. I don't know anything about them other than they look nice, and the reviews that I've seen, They seem to like them.
They're apparently, I think you may have even talked about this already, but there was another brand before them.
Gas,
and they're just Gas with a new banner.
Right, and Gas went under the KTM flag.
Right.
KTM has KTM, Husqvarna, Gas under their flag now.
Okay.
Riehu took over the Gas situation.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure it's a solid bike.
Yeah.
I think if it was an absolute trash bike, we wouldn't have heard of it.
That, or you just wouldn't, right? Or you would just see, like, as soon as I punch it in, it would be, don't buy this bike.
Yeah, right.
Don't buy this bike. And I didn't see that sort of thing at all. I was on a couple different forums, and they were fans of Riehu in general. They weren't speaking about that particular bike, but they were fans of Riehu.
Yeah, I think they're reputable. So as you're telling me that the Riehu is your goal,
right?
I said my goal is maybe like probably the Beta 200.
Okay.
At least right now. Yeah, the RR. They have the Beta 200 RR,
right,
which is basically their two-stroke. The Beta 200 RR is a 200cc two-stroke bike. The RR Race is like the upgraded trim package that gets you like a little bit faster and some better, suspension and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I don't think I need the Race. I think my goal, I would really love a KTM 200, but they stopped making them a few years back.
Okay.
So if it's going to be my goal, I want it to be a new bike, right?
Yeah.
So the 200 Beta is probably the goal. Now, continue with your line of questions.
So it struck me as, I guess I'll call it odd for now since it's a lack of knowledge for me, but your goal bike, if it's going to be brand new, we talked about it, is at least a year and a half out.
At least.
To unless something crazy happens, you're a year and a half away. And during that year and a half, the expectation is you'll be driving the Husky, you'll be driving the KTM, you'll be riding bikes during that whole period of time. So it surprises me that you would still want a 200 because in my mind, at that point, you're going to be an experienced rider with a decent skill set.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want like a 3 or a 350?
So, one, as far as I'm aware, the biggest two-stroke that you can get off the showroom floor is a 300.
Okay. Some
people make 500s. I don't know if they're still making them or if they were only like older bikes that now guys are, refurbishing. What's the word I want? Not refurbishing. That you do to a car.
Restoring.
So they got like the KX 500 or the CRF 500 from Honda. Husky has an old 500 two-stroke. I think the Yamaha IT 490 maybe is like an old 80s two-stroke. But as far as that you're going to get off the showroom floor right now, I'm under the impression that 300 is your biggest size two-stroke.
That's pretty much the cap. Okay.
Now, a 300 two-stroke is a lot of power.
Okay.
Right? It's a big, powerful bike.
Yeah.
I think if I was to get on a 300 two-stroke this week, I think within a week or two, I'd be comfortable with it.
You could acclimate to it.
Yeah, I could acclimate to it. Now, I don't particularly... If somebody dropped 10 racks on me this week and said, go get your bike, I'm not going to go get a 300. I don't even think I'm going to get a 250.
Okay.
I'm looking in maybe a 200, maybe get an old KDX 220, maybe a 150 KTM.
So you're going the other way.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. And I could be completely wrong because I haven't rode a 300 two-stroke. Right. But my assumption is that that's a lot of power in a heavier bike, right?
Sure.
Now, we're riding trails that are our most prominent feature in New Jersey is the sandy whoops.
Right.
A sandy whoop section or a sandy berm or a sandy trail of some sort.
Just sandy's involved.
Sandy, and you get a nice run of trail, but you're not on these long, winding roads. You're not climbing up the sides of mountains. You're just riding trails. You're doing a lot of flowing through the trails kind of stuff. So for that type of riding, my mind is that a lighter, more agile bike is going to be more fun than a less agile, more powerful bike.
Okay.
Now, the 125 Husky has plenty of power. If I was stuck on a two-stroke 125 for the rest of my career, it wouldn't upset me because I have not unlocked half of the power.
Okay.
Previously, when we had this conversation, I had not unlocked a quarter of the power of it.
But now you've doubled up.
I think that I'm at a quarter of its capability. Okay. I don't think I'm at half of its capability yet, and I don't think I'll be at half of its capability by the end of this season. Maybe just touching half of what it could do.
So then at that point, what's the point in the other bikes existing except for on a professional competitive level?
Well, different guys like different things.
Okay.
To me, to step up past the 125, you're going to get, like when I ride the 220, the KDX Marks 220, it has the throttle is more responsive. So if I'm dropping off of, a lot of our trails are like 3 foot higher on the side, and then the trail is kind of dug down into the earth.
It's like you're in a half pipe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the trails are. So let's say I'm coming into the trail from the top, right?
Okay.
Now I can get the RPMs up to maybe 5,000, 6,000 RPMs, and the front wheel lifts, and I can drop down almost flat on the trail. You understand? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're dropping it, how you're dropping in.
Right. Yeah. Now, if I'm doing that on the 220, I'm at like 2,000 RPMs. It's just a little blip of the throttle, and I'm dropping down.
Okay.
So that power makes your front end lighter, basically.
Right, because the bike is lifting up as you're hitting the gas.
So now you put that amount, that 220 power, the 200 in my mind is you get that 220 power, maybe real light 250 power inside of the 125 weight, basically. You're combining the two. So now you have an agile bike that you could keep the front end light. It has the power to send you flying off of a jump if you want, but also you could toss it around a little bit and be nimble on it.
Okay.
So to me, I don't, and I say this, and this idea will probably change at some point down the line, but I don't know that I want anything more than a 200 or a 220. I think that's the sweet spot for New Jersey trail riding. For
your maximum amount of fun, you don't need to go crazy horsepower. You need to go light and efficient.
Yeah, okay. I think I'd probably start having less fun when you get up to 250s and 300s.
Because now you're managing the bike more than you're managing your
Yeah,
path.
and this is how it was with BMX, right? I wasn't into going big.
Right.
Like I didn't want huge air. I didn't like I didn't hate skate parks, but I didn't love skate parks. I like the technical idea. You know what I mean? Like technical tricks of like you kind of have to move your body real quick in a couple different ways to accomplish something rather than go full speed at a jump and fly as far as you can. I think the 300 is probably great if you're a guy who's trying to catch maximum air, or it seems like all the guys out west like 300s, or guys who are racing enduro like 300s, and maybe they know something that I don't.
Well, the enduro's got much more difficult terrain, and plus you're racing, so I could see where the more power, mastering the more powerful engine would probably be a good idea on the circuit.
Yeah.
You can't be out there on a 125 if everybody else is out there on a 300.
Well,
you're going to get cooked.
They say that a guy who's a great rider on a 125 can smoke an average rider on a 300.
Sure, but you're not racing average riders once you're in the.
Well, here's the thing, dude.
Competitive.
My goal is to smoke everybody on a clapped out 125 right now.
Just make them feel bad about themselves.
That's all I'm looking to do.
I don't even have a front fender, and you can't keep up with me.
So I bring Dirt Bike Husk out and put him on the 300.
Right.
This flows right into bikes I touched.
Oh,
this
beautiful. Week,
let's see, where's it at?
Hey, pin it.
Sure. That's the bikes I touched intro.
I knew it.
We're throwing a curveball like we always do with the bikes I touch segment. I don't think we've thrown it down the center yet, dude.
No, that's not what we do here.
We haven't given you mustard down the center yet on this segment.
They're not ready.
Bikes I touched this week, I have not touched my KLX 300 that's sitting in the shed for
like 2 weeks into buying it.
2 months now at least. Since that 125 has been next to it, I have not touched the KLX.
Right.
Because in my mind, that KLX is not a trail bike.
Right.
Not in my mind, in reality.
Sure.
That KLX, it's the Supermoto Package KLX. Saturday morning, I have some errands to run.
Okay.
I got to go meet a guy to put together a material list for a fence or a railing. I got to go price out some floor. I had to go to the bank. So I'm like, you know what? The weather's nice. I'm only riding on the streets. Let's take out the Warthog.
That makes sense.
Immediately, I noticed that the Warthog it's a way different class than the Husky.
Sure.
But they're two different stories. Right? They're both dirt bikes, but they're not both dirt bikes.
No, they're only the same from a helicopter. Mm-hmm. Once you start getting closer, they're not the same at all.
But the KLX is a 2023. It shifts crisply.
Right.
The seat is comfortable because it's made to be a comfortable bike.
Right.
The engine sounds like it's a little bit stronger, not power-wise, but just like runs healthier.
Right.
So I'm riding that thing around on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, all right. I haven't rode this for a while. It's still a good time.
I'm glad I'm paying for this.
I even wind up, I cut through about a mile worth of trails to get from one errand to the other.
Okay.
Now, they weren't the sandy Pine Hill trails.
No, you're just going through
They were
woods.
rocky gravel roads.
Yeah.
But it worked perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. This is not as bad as I keep thinking it is in my head. It's nowhere near as fun as the two-stroke, but it's not as bad as my mind has told me it is over the past few months.
Right.
So Dirt Bike Huss calls me up. I say, sure, you could ride the other bike if you want. It's not, we'll do some light trails. Now, to me, light trails are local trails.
Yeah, your Pine Hill action.
I guess those are not widely considered as light trails.
Oh, you think they're blue trails in most mountains?
There may be a mid-level trail to other guys. To me, that's like that's my backyard trail.
That's your green trails.
Yeah,
the Bunny Hill.
And the upgrade trails that I've been on are the ones up in the Poconos that's climbing up the side of a rocky mountain. So those are that's like a hard body trail.
The Black Diamond Hills.
Yeah, not necessarily Pine Hill, but. So we're riding through, and that's when he said, dude, I'm surprised you went from not riding at all to being able to ride these trails. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm just
following everybody else. Yeah. This is where they took me, so that's where I got to ride.
I'm just riding behind everybody.
Right.
But he's having a tough time with the KLX because it's not made for that. So I'm like, I'm watching him struggle. He's having a blast, but he's also struggling, which is funny because that's what was happening to me on the KLX when we first started riding.
Right.
I'm slow and I'm having a tough time through sand and I'm cursing and I'm stalling out and I'm having a ball. And I'm slowing these guys down, but they're watching me and they're like, you're out here, dude.
Yeah, they knew they brought out a rookie. They're not mad about it.
So I went through it and I gave back and did the same thing with Dirt Bike Huss. However, I also hopped on. I was like, you want to switch bikes for a little bit so you can have some fun? You can stop fighting with the bike.
Is it just impossible to have fun in that situation on the KTM?
It's on the KLX.
On the KLX?
It's tough.
Okay.
It's tough, especially for a guy who this is your first time riding in 10 years.
Okay.
Because it's not the tool for the job. Now, I know how to fight with it to get it to do what you want. You got to kick it in the ass a little bit.
Right.
You got to fight with the Warthog. It's hard-headed to get you to do what it wants. But I'm not ripping. I'm not shredding through there. But I can keep up speed, and I know how the back end's going to react in a sandy pit and stuff like that. So I gave him the other bike, and I took the KLX. And it's not as bad as... It's not good.
Right.
And it's not ever going to be my first choice for riding trails. But it's not as bad as I created it in my head.
Oh, yeah.
to be on the trail.
Well, because you got on the Husky and immediately it was a whole different experience, and then you've just been practicing that experience and getting better at that one this whole time. So now you're so far distanced from remembering why you switched in the first place that you can't imagine you would have ever started in the other place.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. And I don't know if anybody else feels like this or if this is just a thing that I think, but I think if you ride a two-stroke, if you're riding a two-stroke, it's going to make you a better four-stroke rider.
Okay.
Because it takes more skill to ride different. It takes different skill.
The four-stroke is tamer.
It's
more refined. So
refined is a good word.
So if you can handle the gruff, rusty manner of the two-stroke,
the
four-stroke is going to seem easier to you, smoother to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're also like, I never really worked the clutch on a four-stroke.
Right.
Right? Because you don't particularly have to. But now that I'm so accustomed to working with the clutch, not just for shifting gears, but for like gaining traction and stuff like that.
Right.
Now I'm on the four-stroke and doing that, and it's just adding to like the skill set of being able to ride the Warthog through some trails that the Warthog doesn't want to ride through.
Right.
So we spend the day, and I'm showing him all the trails that are local, right? The only ones we missed are Triborough because they're not in the same 2-mile radius as Pine Hill, Little Mill, and Blackwood.
Gotcha.
Camden County College.
Right.
We're over at Camden County College, and we run into the young bulls, and they're not young bulls. They're like in their 20s, these dudes.
Young to you.
The younger guys, the young G's out there, and these guys all shred. Like they're, jumping 20 feet in the air, and
in my mind, if
they're riding 300s.
If you're out there at like 22, then you were out there at 15. You know what I mean? Like 22 is like this middle space where you don't really start there. You either were riding the whole time, or you wait until you're 30 and then you get a bike.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all these guys, as far as I'm aware, they're all Pine Hill guys, which means they were born on dirt bikes.
You get your toe tag, you get your ID tag.
Their dad took them to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like his pregnant wife was on the back of a dirt bike. Yeah.
He had if you can read this, the bitch fell off shirt on when they went to the hospital.
And then strapped the baby seat onto the back rack of a.
The baby just rides on the chest with the whatchamacallit strapped in front
and goggles. A newborn baby with just goggles.
No, that's ridiculous. He's facing inward.
Fair enough.
You don't want the wind to hit the fontanelle.
Yeah, that's true. So these guys are shredding.
Right.
And we're over there. We see him in Pine Hill. Then we wind up seeing him over in Blackwood. We stop. We're talking. Whatever. You know how it goes. As we're riding through Blackwood, finally Husk gets his bearings.
Okay.
1, because Blackwood has some nice hard-packed trail. And 2, because now he's been riding for 2 or 3 hours. So he's like getting his feel back to it. So he's like, now at this point, he's kind of shredding the Warthog.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, you're really looking like Dirt Bike Husk now. Right. Looking good.
Living up to your name finally.
But then his old lady calls and he goes, I gotta get home. I said, this is part of dirt bike life, Husk.
That was quick.
You have to be able to let your old lady know, like, I'm gonna be out riding. I'll be back when we're done riding.
Yeah, I don't answer the phone when I'm riding.
It's a tough pill to swallow for the wives of dirt bike riders.
Sure.
But they're going to be much happier should they be able to swallow the idea that their husband is going to be gone every Sunday from April to September.
They call them bike widows, right?
B-dubs. So I'm like, all right, Dirt Bike Husk, let's get out of here. We start leaving. As we're getting towards the street, I say, yo, let's try and stay perpendicular to the street in the woods for as long as we can, and then we'll pull out into the street when we absolutely have to.
Okay.
We kind of pull through this field and up a very small hill. Once we pull up over this small hill, there was a no trust. Okay, let me rewind. At the bottom of the small hill, there's a field, and on the edge of this field, a sidewalk starts.
Okay.
but not like a sidewalk that's right next to the street. This sidewalk is 50 feet or so off of the street.
Just kind of out of the blue sidewalk?
Kind of just in the middle of nowhere.
Like as if there used to be something for that sidewalk to attach to and
correct.
There's not? Okay.
Correct. So you go up this hill on the sidewalk, no trespassing sign.
All right.
But that doesn't mean much. They're all over these trails.
Right.
Right? They're a suggestion.
There's no cops back there.
It's merely a suggestion.
It's a recommendation.
And as soon as you get up that hill, now oftentimes when you go down a hill, depending on the time of the year, but oftentimes you go down a hill and you can feel the change in weather.
Okay.
Right? Like you can feel at the top of the hill, it might feel like 75. You get into the bottom of a ravine and now it feels like 60.
Right.
You know, like pretty major change.
Yeah, depending on the shape of the land and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
We get up to the top of the hill and the temperature drops. And I just kind of noticed that and I'm like, well, that's interesting.
That was the devil.
Yeah, it was weird. And as soon as I noticed the drop in temperature, my head kind of starts to look around and I see like a bench here, maybe 50 feet ahead of me, another bench, 75 feet in that direction. Just these benches just sporadically
park benches
placed
in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. Now it's less woods though, right?
Okay.
Now it feels like a park.
Okay.
Like there's trees, but it's all grass. It's not like woods floor where it's all dirt. This is grass with a bunch of trees all planted throughout it.
Right.
So I'm like, well, these are odd. And we keep riding. Then there's a statue.
Okay.
Which I didn't pay, statue there.
Yeah.
Weird.
Were the eyes bleeding or anything like that on the statue?
There was no blood on the eyes of the statue.
All right, good.
Right? But I didn't pay much. I didn't see what kind of statue. I just, in the back of my mind, it registers, okay, statue.
There. Right.
Another 100 yards we get up, and, out of the bottom of a ravine, kind of like a small hill, as you're coming up, you could see a building. It almost feels like the building is rising up over the hill because of the way that you're coming.
The way you're cresting the horizon.
I'm like, what the hell? What is this?
Where am I?
And I kind of think we got to get out of here because somebody's going to come out and yell at us. Yeah. No, not even that. Just it looked like maybe a school building or something like that. Somebody's going to come out and a janitor will be like, yo, scram.
Right.
So we got to get out of here. But then we start getting closer and I see there's three stories. Every window on the side of this building is smashed out.
Okay.
Smashed out, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, so maybe we're not going to get yelled at, but maybe we're going to fight a bum or something now. now I'm like, all right, it's time for some action. Let's see what's going on here.
Right.
As I'm pulling up, right, there's on one side, there's a 3-story building that looks like a school in a city, right?
Right.
You know, how, just a plain brick building with 3 stories, push-out windows.
Right.
But all the windows are smashed out.
Okay.
Off to the left side of it, there's it didn't look like a chapel, but it looked like something, it looked different than the 3-story building.
More like not an office building, but more like that's the building where the president stays.
Yeah, there was more shape to it.
Yeah.
It was maybe more kind of triangular shape or something.
Right.
But everything is growing up in front of this other building so that you could barely tell it's there. It's so overgrown. So I'm like, all right, we keep riding and ride around the right side of it. On that right corner of the 3-story part of it, there's what was a door, a boarded up door that was kicked out. Somebody kicked it out and it was Roy Dukes. Hello, sir. He restricted his message. It was kicked out and just kind of that boarded door was laying there and you could see it in a little bit, but it's real dark in there, right?
Okay.
So we keep riding around the back and there's this crusty, cracked, molded, black and gray statue of the Virgin Mary sitting in her Virgin Mary pose, right?
Okay.
And my cousin goes, yo, we could get some money for that. I'm like, you can't. I'm like, cuz you can't steal the Virgin Mary.
What's he gonna do? Strap it to the back of the KTX?
You're gonna go out. What are you gonna go around to local churches and ask if they need a new Virgin Mary statue?
Put it under a trench coat.
I'm like, cuz no, dude. He's like, you can get $3,000 for that. And then I went, you really think you could get $3,000 for that?
Where's the black market for Virgin Mary statues?
I don't know, but if I can find it, I know where to get a Virgin Mary statue. So this whole story is basically to let you know, if you know anybody who's looking for a Virgin Mary statue, send them this way because I can get my hands on one.
T.W.D is just out here. We're looking for a fence. If you know somebody who's a fence, we need to talk to them.
Yeah,
we got some stuff.
We got a couple of religious we got a couple of surefire ways to get us to hell. And I'm ready to trade it for a few dollars, dude. I'm ready to send myself to the underworld for a few dollars.
You might as well profit off of the trip. You're going there one way or the other.
I'll tell you what, dude. If I can get a beta 200 for selling a couple of Virgin Mary statues,
that's what God wanted. That's what that's telling you is if that statue can be had in exchange for a bike that you're interested in.
Yeah,
that's God blessing.
That's why He put it there.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. No,
you got to start going to church after that, though.
They say that everybody has a purpose, a God-given purpose.
Right.
I'm pretty sure mine is to ride dirt bikes.
Oh, it's not to hawk statues.
No, but that can come along with it. Just strictly to ride dirt bikes.
Whatever
Nothing else.
Right.
Not like help anybody ride dirt bikes or like make content about. It's just I was put here to just ride dirt bikes through the woods, dude.
All right. Well, you gotta embrace it then.
The whole backside of the building, overgrown. It's got shrubbery growing out of the broken windows on the backside of this, right? Berlin Auction has outside tables for selling statues. All right.
There you go.
Victor, we'll get this statue in your hands and you see what you can.
We'll swing by the farmer's mart and see what we can do.
You got 20%. 20% is yours.
That's fair.
And then there's like a shed building off to the right.
Okay.
Painted blue.
Okay.
With the garage doors also ripped off of it.
Sure.
Now, there's a small sidewalk and about 6 or 8 feet between this building, the front building, and the shed building. I get the eerie feeling that I don't want to drive through this alleyway. I don't want to get myself boxed in there, right? But the backside of it is a cliff down to a pond.
Okay.
So that's not getting me anywhere.
Right.
And the other way is I got to turn around like a fruit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a little sissy boy.
Go back to where you came from.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that.
Right.
I was with other people. I have to be tough.
Yeah.
I have to pretend I'm tough, dude.
You got to show off when you're in front of people. That's the whole point.
So we ride through there and find another back door.
Okay.
Which, of course, the glass is blown out of it.
Yep.
And it's a double door with another double door inside, like you would imagine walking into the back door of a middle school.
Right, like you walk into the vestibule and then you walk into the building.
So I'm kind of looking at it like, I'm going to take the bike in there.
Yeah.
And Husk goes, you're going to take the bike in? I'm just going to walk in there. I'm like, nah, I can't get the bike through that door. I said, I'll tell you what, if you're going to go walk in,
right,
I'm going to ride around to the front and see if I can get in that way.
Okay.
Right? So I start riding around to the front. He follows me. The front door is this big, again, everything's so overgrown that you could barely see the front walkway.
Okay.
And it's all shattered out. Now, the parts that aren't shattered out look like, and I don't know that this is the case, but they looked like bullet hole shatters around them.
Okay.
Right? So, like the circle spider crack out of it with a little hole in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man.
It's getting hot.
I don't know that I like that, but
Could
it's
just be
probably
kids working on their slingshots.
That's what I thought, dude. It had to be.
Yeah.
So, but there's glass. There's like an inch of glass, so I don't want to send the dirt bike through there.
Right.
I back up. The only way left to go in is into the blackness that we passed with the kicked out, boarded up door on the other side. But now my mind is set that I have to get inside of there.
You're done. Yeah, you got to be there.
I have to get inside of there and see what it is. So I ride over there. Dirt bike Husk says he's going in through the front. I said, all right, I'm going to go see around the side. So I pull up onto the side. It's black in there, but I go in anyway, right? Inside, it's been stripped of everything.
Sure.
Right? It's metal poles, bare walls.
No copper.
Right. Bare rafters running through.
Right.
And concrete that's been cracked up in a lot of the spots. It's almost like they cracked the concrete up to take whatever plumbing was underneath the concrete.
Okay. Or if there was like plaques set in there, they took all the bronze.
So I start ripping through there. and the concrete that is there is super slippery.
Okay.
So
it's
I
got like the asbestos tiles still left on it?
No, bare concrete.
Oh, okay.
So I ripped down, it's got about 100 yards of a straightaway.
Okay.
This is it's a big building.
Right.
And I can see Husk 100 yards down. So I ripped down doing I get up to 30, hit the brake. The concrete was so perfectly kind of dusty and smooth.
Right.
I got that sucker all the way sideways to the point where the bike's sideways and I'm holding the bars on the right side of me on an ill power slide.
Getting ready to slide under a tractor trailer.
Yeah, the best power slide that I've done to date. And Husk is kind of walking around. Now, he's formulating a plan that he's going to find some investors and turn this into a rehab.
Well, yeah. After he sells the statue, he's going to have his startup money and he's all set.
I said, Husk, this is a lot of work to turn it into anything, dude. So unless your investor's got a strong 7 to 9 mil,
right,
I don't think you're touching this thing.
If you're where I think you were, and obviously we don't want to specifically say, I think it was a rehab at one point.
It seemed like it was set up in that fashion.
Yeah.
It seemed like it definitely could have been.
It was like a rehab / retreat.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. So, in the kind of main room, Husk's walking around looking at stuff, formulating his plan.
Right. Taking measurements.
I'm kind of just going, yeah.
Sure. You could definitely sleep 4 in here.
Same thing I do when anybody hits me with an idea that I think is outlandish.
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. I lean the bike on a wall because I don't have a kickstand because that's how I roll.
Men don't need kickstands.
And there's this kind of grand fireplace and hearth there in the main room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this thing's cool. And I'm kind of looking at the stonework because I'm half Italian, so I got stone and ceramic in my blood.
Of course.
And inside of the actual fireplace part of this huge, elaborate piece, there's a rope just hanging down and swinging, lightly swinging. The wind, a squirrel's up there. I don't know why it's moving.
Right, but
I don't know why it's there.
It's not the flute. It's not the rope for the flute.
No. This was like a rope.
Okay.
Not a little tiny. This was like a thick, inch thick rope, that you would tie a big boat to a dock with.
Was Biz there just cleaning before? Is that what that was?
I don't know.
He's a chimney sweep.
Oh, there it is. I wanted to get on board with you there.
It's been that long? You don't remember?
Yeah. It is. So this rope is just kind of swinging inside of the chimney, which is eerie. The only thing creepier would have been if there was a noose tied on the end of the rope, right?
Right.
So I'm like, Husk, I don't like this, dude. And I'm not a guy who gets scared of this kind of. I'm not into the supernatural.
Right.
So I'm like, just the way that it got cold when we came over the hill, the crumbling religious statues, the overgrownness.
The fact that you're essentially trapped in there.
Yeah. Now the rope.
Right.
I'm like, oh, man.
It's not adding up.
I'm like, Husk, let's get out of here, dude.
Right.
He was like, yeah, I don't want the cops to come. I'm like, yeah, the cops is what I'm definitely worried about. It's definitely the cops that I'm worried about and not anything supernatural.
Chew up this garlic and let's go.
So I'm coming out of there and I'm going to go. There's it used to be steps. Now it's just one giant 2-foot step up.
Okay.
And I'm like, I think I could get my hard enduro on this step, right?
Okay.
So Husk walks out the front door to the KLX and I'm going to ride back to where I can pull out. But I'm going to ride the way that has this little hop up. And sure enough, dude, I pull up to it, give it a blip, boop, front wheels up. And once the front wheel's up, it's over.
You're gold.
Hopped right up it, right?
Nice.
So I hop right up it and then stall immediately. Upon that stall, I rolled maybe 6 or 7 feet or whatever. And I stall right next to the basement steps.
Oh, okay.
I assume it's the basement, right? Because I'm
heading in that direction.
Yeah, I look, and there's a doorway, no door on it, just an opening. I hand to the good Lord, right? You can see the first 3 steps, and then it's black, right? The first 3 to 6 feet of this basement area,
right,
you can see. And I'm like, nah, absolutely not. You know, I don't even want to stand here next to it. Get the bike I'm kicking it. Dude, let's go. Get me out of here.
What if the young bucks were in there with you? And they said, let's go down? Would you?
What would I do? What would I do?
You have to go
down.
I had to go
right?
down. Yeah.
I have to be tough, dude. I have to be a man. Now, on the walls of the first 3 feet, and then it has these what were once white walls.
Yeah.
Right? But now it's got like the rust colored like water damage on the drywall of it. I promise you, there was the reddish brown splatter of what looked like it could have been blood on these walls. I would like to believe that it wasn't.
Yeah, it was just rust color. It's Rust-Oleum.
Yeah, but it's hard to picture what else that kind of splattering pattern and color is, other than the life liquid of a sacrificed child to the church.
Somebody was in there and got hammered and just threw up on the wall. That's all it is.
I hope so. But I didn't want anything else to do with that basement.
Sure.
So I'm trying to get kickstarted. I don't know that a ghost got into my FMF pipe.
It's cutting off the fuel.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a ghost that happened to get into my 2-stroke pipe, but I couldn't get the bike started. It took me 15 kicks next to this basement with blood splatter and the abyss.
Did you hear any whispering while you were trying to get it started?
No. If they were whispering to me, I couldn't hear it over the engine trying to get started. Thank the good Lord. Because I don't get freaked out by this stuff.
Right.
But this
place...
It
was all adding up.
Place was weird, dude. So 15 kicks, it finally sputters to life. And I've never banged through 4 gears so quick, dude. Luckily, so I banged 4 of them, and I'm ripping way faster than anybody should ever drive inside of a building.
Well, sure.
Because I got to get the hell out of here.
Well, yeah. You get the spirits chasing you now.
I get to the end of the building and hit another killer power slide, dude.
All right. Well, yeah, you got to show off on the way out. Let the ghosts know you beat them and flip them off.
Killer power slide. And did
you kick the door open on the way out and just get to the outside?
Somebody already had kicked that door open for us. Kicked it right off the hinges for us.
Perfect.
Power slide, keep it upright, keep the engine on, and then tear out of that door right around to the front where I'm on the headset with Husk.
Okay.
And he says, whatever he says, I hear the word cops.
Okay.
I'm like, the cops are here? He's like, I don't know. So now I'm already on my way to out front. I'm like, man. Like, they're out. And then I start thinking about it. I'm like, they're just going to tell us to leave.
Yeah.
They're not going to break our balls.
Nah.
Like, maybe they'll break our balls a little bit, but they're just going to say, get out of here.
They don't know you, so they're just going to ask you to go.
Yeah. They don't know us?
Well, yeah, like, if the cops had seen you back there 3 other times, like, we told you 3 times to get out of here, now we're going to give you a problem.
Right.
They don't know you, so they're just going to say, look, this is not your land, get out.
Or the cops are in on it.
Well, there's that, too.
The cops are in on the child sacrifice.
The cops weren't there at all.
Well, the cops weren't there at all. So, really, it's all null and void. It's a zero-sum game at this point because there was no police there.
Good.
So, I'm like, come on, Hus, we got to get out of here, dude. I'm not with this place.
Right.
He was like, no, I'm telling you, I think I could really turn it into, like, it's a perfect spot for a rehab. I'm like, Hus, forget the rehab. Place is haunted, man. Nobody's going to get well here.
It's going to get worse.
You're going to have kids disappearing. Can't do a rehab here, man. So we go, I'm like, let's get down to the driveway and get to the street.
Let's talk about it at Wawa.
Yeah. So we slide down the driveway. The driveway is gated off.
Okay.
So now we can't get right out.
Right.
Right? I'm like, damn.
How'd you get in?
Over that hill.
Oh, the other side.
So I'm like, now we got to go through the haunted bench park.
Right.
With the statues to get out of there. And again, it gets cold right in that section.
Well, yeah, you're driving through the set of the Omen, so yeah.
Oh, man. I ripped through there as fast as I'm like, get me out of here, dog.
Right.
So we get out of there, finally get to the street, and I get a sense of comfort.
Okay.
just being the hell out of there. Yeah, like, oh, now it actually is 80 degrees out today.
Your bones stop chattering from the inside.
And got the hell out of there, dude. But it was I have it on GoPro. The problem is that I didn't remember I was saying my GoPro is not picking up the microphone.
Yeah.
So I got no sound on it.
I gotta get you squared away in here so that you can take a video like that and just do a narrative over it.
Well, I can, and I think I'm going to.
Okay.
I just have to sit down and do the narration.
Right.
Because I don't want to freestyle a voiceover. I want to give it a good.
You're not going live, so you could do a freestyle and see how it comes out, and then if you don't like it, just delete it.
Well, yeah. Or to freestyle and kind of just work on it piece by piece.
Yeah.
But so I got the footage, and hopefully that will be out this week as a full video with a little bit of a narration, because you might not watch me sit here and tell you it.
Right.
But the
Seeing
abandoned
it actually happen as a whole. Do you have video of the cellar? Like was the camera running?
Yeah. So you can decide.
I wonder
whether
what we can see. Like, we'll zoom in and see like a little kid standing in the corner.
Oh, dude,
or something?
how creepy would that be? You see like a shadow scurry along.
Yeah.
Dude, it was. I'm not a scared guy, dude.
Right.
I'm tough, bro.
No, I know, but
I swear I'm tough.
It just added up. Like, it's all. It
was
this
just weird,
plus
dude.
this plus this plus this.
There's been 2 times in my life when I felt like there were forces at play that were not of this realm.
And the one time that I know of that you should have felt that way, you didn't.
Yeah, no. No. Yeah, that time, New Orleans, when they tried to kill me, that didn't bother me none.
Not one hair.
The one time was in a Poconos cabin that was probably for sure haunted.
Oh yeah, right. You couldn't sleep in the bedroom.
We had to leave, dude.
Right? Yeah.
We had to leave. And the second time was here at the rectory at the home for sacrificed children.
Right around the corner from your house.
Yeah, so they know where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think, I'm telling you,
know.
I think the spirit got inside of the header and is now living in my shed.
All right, well, next time you ride the bike, you'll know.
I'll know if I go open my shed and it's 33 degrees in there on a June afternoon.
Frost on the bike.
Yeah, dude. Wow. So that was a thing. That was interesting. But the video hopefully will be out later this week, so you can see the visuals of all of the things that I saw on a haunted dirt bike ride.
Right.
I also, I have one more quick thing that we could talk about, unless you have something that you'd like to discuss this evening.
I'm riding the wave.
You know what? Since we just talked about evil forces and spirits, let's switch over to the other side, right?
So let's battle it out with the good forces.
Yeah. Now, it's no secret to you, maybe to somebody watching, probably not old Deuces Coco, because he's been watching every episode. The guy's here religiously, God bless him.
Might as well be in the room with us at this point.
He's a good man.
Yeah. I'm not having the best few months here.
Right.
And work is a little bit of a struggle. This past week, I'm falling apart on my fitness.
Okay.
I told myself this morning, I refuse to not go to the gym tomorrow morning.
Right.
And then 4 o'clock came around. I was like, I got up, I sat on the couch, and I was kind of just like, nah, you know what? I don't got it in me. I'm getting soft.
Right.
I'm turning into a wimp.
Oh, the ghosts. They
For
scared you.
lack of a stronger word, and me trying to be a gentleman,
Right.
I'm turning into a wimp.
A wimp.
Yeah. And that's not my steez. You know, my thing is to push through, have my discipline, and go to the gym no matter what.
Yeah, you're a disciplined guy, no question.
And I'm falling apart in that aspect.
All right, well, what do we got to do to straighten you out?
I just got to get to the gym.
Okay.
Maybe if I talk this out tomorrow morning, I'll actually
You'll
get
be
there.
at the gym.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we're having some problems with our mortgage.
Okay.
Right? That's a thing.
Yep.
My son is he's phenomenal, and he's doing great, but he's also a handful.
Well, sure.
You know, he's a lot to deal with just because he's into everything.
He's a
but
kid,
that's
yeah.
that's regular baby stuff.
Yeah.
So she's not sleeping because she's got to wake up and feed him, and this guy wakes up at 3 a.m. and starts slapping whoever's next to him around. Literally.
Well,
he will literally wake up and start smacking her in the face.
Well,
I'm like, yo, you got to like flick his hand or something.
The man wants something, he's going to ask for it,
Give
right?
him a little bit of pain. Like, yo, stop. Don't do that. So all these things are like causing me to feel as though life is going. I know it's not going in a downward spiral.
But you feel like you're getting boxed in.
I'm feeling a lot of weight on my shoulders.
Sure.
And on the other hand, I know that this is just part of my cyclical nature in life.
Yeah.
Where I go through a stressful, rough spot, and then I go through a really good couple of months.
Especially for as much as we talked about it, this is the nature of your business as well. Like specifically, this is the turn period now, but prior to this is like the downtime.
Yeah, it's odd that this right now is
it's gone
slow.
longer than you're used to, but you're coming off of when it would normally be down.
Be slow, right? I should be jumping right now,
yeah.
but I'm not. So it's making for a difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
Got a vacation coming up. I'm trying to send them on their own vacation, whatever.
Right.
Now, the one thing that happens is that when I go ride, I forget about all of this, right? None of these problems exist. And there comes this, and I found this niche about a week ago riding with CRF Mark and 690 Jake, right?
Okay.
We're riding as we do. I always got to ride in the middle.
Right.
Jake leads, I ride middle, Mark brings up the rear. This is 99% of the time, this is our formation.
Yep.
Actually, for some reason, it switched, and Mark's leading, Jake's in the rear, right?
Okay.
But we find this particular set length of trail in Blackwood where there's not really any whoop section, there's not any sandy sections. Each side of you is, I don't know what these bushes are called, but these are bushes that are about 6 feet or so high with white flowers everywhere on them, right?
Okay.
And this set of trail, this drags on for hundreds of yards.
Okay.
And you're swooping from left to right, right? So it's a very, like, you get into this zone of, like, shoo, shoo,
Wishing down the mountain.
You're kind of going left, right? You're swerving in and out through it, right?
Right.
And we had been riding most of the day, so we're good and warmed up. And we rip through this section of trail at probably the top speed that all of us are capable of, at least together, right? And still staying with each other.
So your top speed.
I mean, maybe. That could be possible. I'm not saying I'm any good, dude.
No, I know.
You friggin' tell a guy your problems, he kicks you while you're down. I mean, geez, dude.
It's not mental health month, so I don't have to help you right now.
Fair enough. We get through this section and pull to a stop, and we're all just laughing.
Right.
Because we hit it perfectly, hit it at speed. It's this 6 section where it feels like you're in a kind of a foliage tunnel.
Okay.
And it rips through, and we kind of all dap each other, and we're laughing like, yo, let's go do it again.
Right.
Spin it back around, we'll do the same section, which we did. But I started thinking about it, and it's borderline a spiritual experience when you get into that particular spot. Not every time. Every time you get on your dirt bike, I wouldn't say it's borderline a spiritual experience.
Right.
It's an exercise in mental health.
Sure.
In good health for sure, because you're getting your physical exercise. You're kind of forgetting about your problems with something that's not causing destruction.
Right.
Except maybe to the ozone layer.
Well, yeah. That's not your problem anymore.
So it's an exercise in good mental health. But sometimes that exercise in good mental health meets the feeling of you kind of unnaturally flowing through space and time and doing it all perfectly. Hitting the brake at the perfect time every corner you hit. Throttling up perfectly over every bump to keep your front end light. Hitting the perfect angle to come around the berm without putting too much brake on. And it all comes together in this, like, that's perfect. The problems have melted away. You're flying through the air, and it's an experience that, like, I'll tell you this. As a guy who's been cleaned up, had my nose clean for a few years, right? There may have been a time in the past when you could have said, hey, if you had no consequences and nobody looked at you negatively,
right,
and you could use substances for the rest of your life without any consequence or anything bad happening,
right,
would you do it? And I would say, yeah, sure. If nothing bad's going to happen,
right,
absolutely, I'll have a good time, right? Yeah. Now, if you put that option on the table and said you could use substances, any substance you want, for the rest of forever with no consequence, or you could ride your dirt bike, fill in the blank, every day, once a week, every month, I'm picking the dirt bike every time because the level of, like, mental elevation that comes when you hit that moment, to me, has been unparalleled yet. I would say the closest thing to it is maybe when I was singing rap songs.
Okay.
And you could shut down the whole park or the whole cipher or the whole bar or whatever.
Right.
But even given that, I would pick the mental elevation of that perfect dirt bike moment over any of them. And I think, I hate to say it, right? I don't like to say this because then I have to address that it's a reality. Mm-hmm. I think part of my problem with the current few months of life, other than the things that are out of my control, is that now that I've had this level of elevation, right?
Okay.
I've had this level of elevation, and now when I'm back to regular life, it's like, oh, not like there's been this, I'm up here, and now I have to come back to, like, regular life in a career that I don't like, and I'm working all these hours, and all I could do is think about riding, and I can't go ride, and I got all these responsibilities that got to be taken care of. And so I think that very much in the same fashion as when I was abusing substances, it's that the idea of that high kind of throws everything else into disarray.
Let me throw a couple things out at you for that.
Please do.
The first one is, so in general, what you're describing is basically you get to this moment of Zen where everything else is tuned out except for the exact, you're in the moment and just in the moment.
Very Buddhist philosophy, yes.
Now, it feels wonderful for a number of reasons, but one of those reasons is when you're not in that moment, there's a million different thoughts crashing down on your head. And in that moment, all those thoughts stop. So that leads you to the reverse of the issue is, if those other thoughts weren't crashing into your head, does hitting that Zen moment feel as good? Like, that's your moment of, all right, everything's going to be fine. I'm good. We're good. I can, I'm not thinking about anything else, and everything is great. And then you get back to reality, and everything's not great. But if everything was always great, that moment of Zen isn't a moment of Zen anymore. It's just another moment, because you're not losing all of those pressures and all of those negatives to get there. Right. And then the other thing is, and I realize you were riding with other people, but in reality, you were by yourself in this moment. Right. Other people are there, but you're not. If they weren't there, you could have the same experience.
I agree.
There's a certain amount of irony, and this is not just you, but in general, as men, we are trained, we are basically built to isolate ourselves. That's a problem. That's my problem. That's a problem. That's my problem. Right. We need money. That's on me. Everything is on me. No one breaks this line of help. No one comes across it because I'm the man and I got to handle all of it.
Yeah.
And then your best, not just you, but, your best spiritual relief from that is isolation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this weird irony in that a lot of your stresses and pressures are because you build this isolation into yourself. And a lot of ways to like blow off that steam and feel better is to isolate yourself again, just in a different place.
Yeah, but I don't know that it has to do with the isolation. It's not the isolation that blows off the steam.
No,
it's the elevation.
But you're elevating it to the mental I'm not talking the mental isolation. Like you are gone from the world in that moment. You're completely by yourself in nature, floating through the air.
Yeah.
You're just you. There's no one else. There's no house payment. There's no truck. It's just you. It's isolation. Pure and simple. Into nature, into whatever it is that you're into. And that moment of by yourselfness like resets all of the terrifying moments of by yourselfness.
Right.
And it's weird that works like that.
Well, because if we get into the stone cold reality of it, is that you've been by yourself for X amount of years you've been alive.
Right.
So it's not like, this is life. You have your wife, you have your kids, but you're still your own separate entity.
Yeah.
This is probably where, for me, and maybe for other guys, my fierce emotional strength comes from my awareness that I am by myself. Even in a relationship that's going well, I'm still my own separate entity, and I'm the only one who's in charge of what I tell Krang. What I listen to, what Krang says, right, and what I do, I'm the only guy who has the ability to, listen to that, right?
And then the only way to, calm yourself down is to not be able to hear Krang at all. Like that.
I don't know that.
Krang wasn't there riding that bike through the lawn.
No, I left him in the dust.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't say that's the only way. I would just say right now it's the most potent way.
Okay.
Because there's times when, I'm in life happy day in and day out. I just happen to be in, a kind of a tough stretch. A rough stretch here where, if I am having a moment to think, it's not the best of thoughts.
Yeah,
it's not the best of thoughts. So, I keep going back to, I got to ride. Mm-hmm. I got to ride, right? So that I can just, it is, in all reality, a thing that is keeping me going right now when I'm just oh, jeez.
Why am I
where's the end of this? Right. Where's the end of this stretch, man? Yeah, and I know that the stretch ends because it always ends.
Right.
But objectively, riding makes it better and also makes it worse. Because that's the escapism.
You're elevating to the happiness, and then you have to go back away from the happiness.
Yeah, but it's also escapism, right?
Oh yeah.
Let me escape. Let me get out of this.
Right.
Instead of putting the problems and the issues in front of me and fighting through them, and I'm still
away from them.
Yeah, I'm putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm still moving forward. But I'm also doing my best to not really think about some of the stuff that we got going on.
Right.
So it's it's a dual-edged sword of escapism and elevation that is, I don't know if it's doing more harm or more good, but I'm not going to stop.
In the moment, it's doing more good.
I'm not going to stop riding, so I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, you got to get to your dream bike already.
I'm not going to stop riding. Maybe I'll do it the same way that I did when I was in my teens and 20s. You give me a good 15 years of that madness and chaos,
right?
Then I'll go to Dirt Bikes Anonymous. I'll go to DBA. I'll get in a 12-step program. I'll sell the bikes, and I'll continue on with a wholesome,
but you keep
spiritually fulfilled
keep the
life.
Helmet just in case.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. This is T.W.D. the Manual. We are here every Monday at 8:30, except maybe next Monday.
Son,
I don't know. We haven't decided yet. We're going to take a short break for a week or two. It might be next Monday. It might be 2 Mondays from now. Check back in with us and keep checking because you're going to get that abandoned dirt bike ride video on the channel soon, and you're going to get shorts every day. Tell a dirt bike buddy to come check us out. Call us next week. Talk dirt bikes with us.
Let's go.
We're here. Put us on at work. We'll see you next time you're in front of us. We're out.